Okay. So the Greeks were fighting for glory, for the people would tell stories about them after they died. That was the only reason they were fighting. Okay, that's the only reason. They weren't fighting to bring about democracy, to free the slaves, to free the Jews. They were fighting for personal glory. That was their only immortality, to have people tell stories about them. In fact, Achilles is given that choice. You can live to an old man, see your grandchildren, but nobody will ever know you, or you can go out and die young, and people will be talking about you at conferences 3,000 years later, which is what we're doing. Anyway, they go on. So that was weird. Their culture is very different than our culture. Their sense of what's right or wrong. Then he says, but now as it is, the fates of death await us. Thousands poised to strike and kill us. Not a man alive can flee them or escape. And in we go for attack. Give our enemies the glories of killing us, or win glory for ourselves. What is he saying here? Homer. This is such a... And they didn't like the gods in Greek mythology. They always thought life was pretty miserable, and so the gods were to blame. So they weren't really praising the gods ever. They're sort of making fun of them. But what he's saying here is, only humans can be brave. Only humans can die, can give everything for a cause. The gods can't do it because they're immortal. What does that mean? You know, if somebody cleans up some ants on your counter, okay, you conquered, but you weren't exactly brave. You know, you sprayed a little thing or washed them away. In the Greek mind, the gods were not able to be brave, to suffer, to give everything. That was reserved only for human beings. And then we pick up this beautiful book we'll talk about the last day by Rabbi Kushner about suffering in life. And he says, Christianity, pause it for, oh, here it is, okay. And he says, Christianity introduced the world to the idea of a God who suffers, alongside the image of God who creates and commands. After Christianity, post-biblical Judaism also occasionally spoke of a God who suffers, a God who helps the homeless, a God who weeps. But it was Christianity that first gave the world this idea of, you know, Jesus wept, and then in Moses we have it even greater, that God weeps. And Enoch asks him about that. So here we have the Greeks saying, no God will ever suffer. No God will ever be brave. And it's like, oh, yeah. In their culture, you know, Sumerians, Egyptians, Babylonians, their gods were all powerful. They never suffered. But in the gospel of Jesus Christ, we have a God who is human, who does suffer, who weeps for us. And, you know, and we teach that, so of course that's good. But when I hear outside people recognizing those same truths, that's an added witness, that's an added testimony to me. You know, William Tyndale, that we'll talk about tomorrow, he has one great thought about testimony as the greatest witness. And he says there's historical faith, which is, I read it in the newspaper, I read a book, the Turks conquered a city, the king did this, you know, my mother said this. Experts tell him something, that's historical faith. But he said, but then there's a feeling faith. Even if there's a candle and your mother tells you that it will burn cold, and you would believe her, because she's your mother. But he says, but when you have put your finger in the fire, I knew what heat felt like. I should have not believed her by reason, by historical faith, because I felt it. I had a feeling faith. My finger was in the fire. Nobody can tell me different. Nobody can shake my faith. The professors can't tell me any different. My friends, my peers, my family that's going astray. Once I put my finger in the fire, I know what burning feels like. And I can't ever deny it. That's the witness that we need the most. Beautifully said. Moroni says it pretty beautifully as well. But that image, not everybody knows what the Holy Ghost feels like, but we all know what a fire feels like. And we know that once we feel the flames, nobody can talk us out of it and convince us that it felt differently. And so that's what we want to talk about as we talk about other witnesses to gospel principles. Thank you.